Hello, Legacy Sabers. Marsh here. So today we're going to talk about function operations and also compositions. You're going to want to have your notes, a calculator, then a pen and or a pencil to help you out. I will be using different colored ink, so that might be something that you might want to source right now to help you understand this content better. Our learning targets today. I can add, subtract, and multiply functions, and also I can compose functions. That is going to be for our essential question, how do I perform mathematical operations on functions? So last time we did some notes, we talked about what's called function notation. Now, what we want to know is, well, how do I take functions like f and g and how do I add them together? Like, what does that look like? How does one do that kind of information? Let's just jump in, do some practice right away. So in your note packet, you're going to want to change that to g of x plus 2h of x, because I just noticed that there's a plus here and there's a minus on your packet. So what we need to do first is we need to identify g and h. So we're going to look up in our function information. Now remember, g and h is just a name for a function. So we need to identify g, we need to identify h. And I'm going to rewrite this junk with what they are. G is x squared plus 4x minus 3. That is who he is, right? Now, they want me to do 2 times h. So I'm going to say 2. Now I'm going to rewrite h, but I'm going to put in parentheses because I'm substituting it. So 4x squared minus 2x. So all I've done is just taken what the math of those letters are and put them in place. Now, first thing I got to do, I got to clean this up. It's kind of messy. I'm going to do the distributive property first. So I'm going to distribute this 2 in, like a rainbow there. I'm going to rewrite the front part. Now let's add. 2 times 4, 8, x squared. 2 times negative 2, negative 4x. Now I got to combine some like terms. So I'm going to underline some like terms here. I got x squared and 8x squared. They're alike. I got 4x and negative 4x. Those guys are alike. And then negative 3, excuse me. He's all alone. Poor little guy. X squared plus 8x squared, combining them. Remember, this is a 1x squared technically. There is 9x squareds. 4x minus 4x, that would be 0x's. Not going to write it because there's 0. And then minus 3. So my answer is 9x squared minus 3. Let's try a subtraction problem now. So f of x minus g of x. So I'm going to do negative 2x, that is who he is, right? Minus my g, x squared plus 4x minus 3. Now I can drop these first parentheses here. But this negative, check yourself before you wreck yourself. Make sure there's technically like a little negative 1 sitting out there. Just like this 2 when we distributed, let's distribute that negative in, that negative 1. So I'm going to distribute that in. So I got negative 1 times a positive 1x squared. That is a negative 1x squared, right? Negative 1 times 4x is negative 4x. And negative 1 times a negative 3, that is a positive 3. Let's combine like terms. So I got negative 2x and negative 4x. That's the only people that can combine. So this guy's all alone, and so is this guy. So I got negative 1x squared. Negative 2x minus 4x is negative 6x. I'm going to add 3. There we go. Let's keep going. So I got j of x times h of x. So I'm going to rewrite. And I'm going to put these in parentheses. So j is x minus 5, and h is 4x squared minus 2x. Now, this means multiplication, which means we have to FOIL. It's been a hot minute probably since we FOILed. So FOIL. Firsts, outsides, insides last. All that is a mnemonic or like a word to help us remember what to do. Ultimately, all you have to do is everybody has to talk to everybody. That's the world that we're living in here. So x has to talk to 4x squared, and he needs to multiply by negative 2x. Negative 5, he has to go to 4x squared. He also has to do negative 2x. That's what we're going to do. So first, x times 4x squared. Now remember, when you multiply like bases, aka like letters, you are going to manipulate, change the exponents. So this is an x to the first, and we're multiplying by an x squared. That's going to give you an x cubed. The number out front, so 1x to the first, so it would be 1 times 4. So 4x to the third is what we're going to get there. 1x to the first times a negative 2x, so 1 times negative 2 is going to give us a negative 2. X to the first times an x to the first, that's going to give me x squared because I'm going to add those exponents. Now, negative 5 times 4x squared, we're going to multiply the numbers, the coefficients. So negative 5 times 4, that's negative 20. No x's with that negative 5, so it's just going to stay in x squared. And then negative 5 times negative 2x. So I'm going to get positive 10x. Let's combine our like terms. So I got that guy and that guy. Those are the two only people that are alike. So I'm going to get 4x cubed minus 22x squared plus 10x for a final answer there. Let's try it again. So I now have f of x times g of x. So negative 2x times x squared plus 4x minus 3. Notice how I'm putting parentheses so I can see the grouping of the two of math sentences. Now this guy's a little different. Notice he doesn't have a symbol in the middle of the 2 and the x. He's just a single term. So this is just a really fancy distributive property. So I'm just going to go 1, 2, 3, just distribute. So negative 2x times 1x squared, that would be negative 2x cubed, because this is an x to the first times an x squared. 1 plus 2 is 3. Then negative 2x to the first times 4x is going to give me negative 8x squared, because negative 2 times 4 gave me the negative 8, and x to the first times x to the first is x squared. And then negative 2x to the first times a negative 3, that is a positive 6x to the first, but I'm not going to write the 1. Okay, we're nearly there. Let's keep going. Now, this old news. Right? We already did this on our last notes. How do you do function notation? How do you substitute something in? This just means for the x's in h, I'm going to put negative 2. So I'm going to start writing h out, but I'm seeing those x's, so I'm going to put a negative 2 instead. So everywhere I saw that x, I put a negative 2. Now it's a PEMDAS problem. Negative 2, remember you square first, so negative 2 squared is 4. Now we get to multiply. 4 times 4 is 16. Negative 2 times negative 2 is a positive 4. 16 plus 4 is 20. Okay, brand new content alert. Compositions. Now, what is a composition? Composition is just a fancy way of saying you're going to take a function, you're going to plug it into another function. Just like we took negative 2 and popped it into h, this means into g or into j, you're going to put g. How to read this, because this is funky looking. You're going to read this like this. J of g of x. That's what you're going to hear me say when I say this math right here. J of g of x. What that means is into j for every x, you're putting g's function. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rewrite this because this looks pretty scary right now. I'm going to put g in. So I'm going to say j of, and I'm going to replace g with its math. So x squared plus 4x minus 3, just like that. Okay, so all I've done is I've taken g, went up here, and dropped down the math. So now what this is telling me is into j, I'm going to put x squared plus 4x minus 3. what I'm going to do is I'm going to write different color. So I'm going to start writing J's function, but when I see an x, I'm going to put x squared plus 4x minus 3. I'm going to use red for that section. So I'm going to write, whoop, I see an x, right? So I got to write, and I'm going to show in parentheses to show I'm substitution, what I am told to plug in. Now I got to continue writing J. So I'm going to change color here. So I got to finish with a minus 5. So notice what happened. For the x that was there, I put x squared plus 4x minus 3. So now we need to finish cleaning it up. So we don't need these parentheses. We can just drop them. And then I got to combine some like terms. These guys, right? So x squared plus 4x minus 8. Because negative 3 minus 5 is negative 8. Kind of confusing, right? But we got this. We can do it. Let's try another couple. So I got g of f of x. So what that means is into g, I'm substituting f. I'm going to rewrite this. I'm going to rewrite who is f. Well, f is negative 2x, so I'm going to clean this up. So that's g of negative 2x. So now what that tells me is whenever I see an x in g, I got to put negative 2x instead. So what I'm going to start doing is rewriting g, but when I see an x, I got to put negative 2x. So I see an x right here and right there. I'm going to put negative 2x first. So I'm going to do negative 2x. Again, notice showing those parentheses. And now I got to keep writing g. So I see a squared. So I'm going to write squared plus 4. Oh, I see an x. I got to put negative 2x in his spot. But I got to keep going. There's more to g. So what I've done is I've written the purple, and every time I wrote negative 2x, that was in place of an x that was up here. Now I just got to clean this up. I got to make this easier. So negative 2x squared. Now remember what that means. That means you need to write negative 2x twice. So a little sidebar conversation here. Negative 2x squared. That means negative 2x times negative 2x. So we're going to multiply the numbers. We're going to multiply the letters. So negative 2 times negative 2 is going to give us 4. X times x is going to give me x squared because x to the first times x to the first, right? So I'm going to get 4x squared. Distribute the 4 in. I'm going to get minus 8x minus 3. Okay, let's try again. Now this one, notice what they've done. They've substituted into f as well as substituting into h. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to kind of work inside and then work our way out. So f of 3, we want to find that first. So f of negative 2, nope. Silly Marsh. F is negative 2x. So what I'm going to do is into f of x, I'm going to put... Okay, sorry guys, technical difficulties. Had to stop my video and start back up. So in this one, we're going to take f of 3. So I'm going to rewrite f, but I'm going to put a 3 where I see an x. So I'm going to put negative 2. Oh, there's an x. I'm going to put 3. So negative 2 times 3, that's just negative 6, right? So what this technically is right here, f of 3, that's just negative 6. So what they want me to find is h of negative 6. So that means wherever we see an x in h, we're going to put negative 6. So I'm going to go 4, negative 6 squared, because notice there's an x here and an x there, minus 2 times another negative 6. PEMDAS first, negative 6 squared is 36. Ooh, 4 times 36. I don't think I know what that is. Mr. Calculator. 144. Negative 2 times negative 6 is a positive 12. And 144 plus 12 is 156. And that is the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed learning more about function notation and function operations. Now, something I know that this is going to be a little bit of a struggle because function compositions especially. That is an odd content. So we are going to practice this quite a bit to make sure we understand it very well before we continue moving on. With that, I will see you later, Sabers.